Good evening, and welcome back to the Heal Security Dispatch Deep Dive with Mark and Diana, your trusted source for the latest in cybersecurity trends and expert insights, proudly presented by Heal Security. Today is Friday, August 29, 2025. We've got a truly fascinating stack of sources today covering everything from, well, global espionage campaigns to critical updates for your personal devices, and even a deep look into the fundamental reasons why malware is so incredibly difficult to stop. Our mission is to cut through all the noise and deliver the most important nuggets of knowledge to keep you well-informed and critically secure.
Indeed. The landscape of digital threats, it just continues to grow in both complexity and scale. Today, we'll be connecting the dots between sophisticated nation-state actors and, the everyday risks faced by individuals and businesses, helping you understand not just what is happening, but why it matters directly to you and what actionable insights you can maybe take away.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're going to start big with some of the most consequential news hitting the wire. A chilling campaign that truly highlights the sheer scale of modern cyber espionage. We're talking about China's Salt Typhoon operation. The FBI has called this one of the most significant espionage efforts they've ever seen. This campaign has likely harvested information on hundreds of millions of people, potentially including nearly every American. It's an absolutely staggering scope.
It is, and what's particularly alarming is the persistence. This operation has been active since at least 2019, yet it went largely undetected until late 2024.
Huh.
Think about that for a second. Years of silent intrusion. It impacted over 200 U.S. organizations and entities in over 80 countries globally. Key targets included critical telecom giants like Verizon and AT&T. This operation is attributed to groups working with China's Ministry of State Security, and the FBI has explicitly described it as reckless due to its, widespread and indiscriminate nature.
Reckless.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the sheer bulk collection of data, were there more targeted aspects to Salt Typhoon as well? What makes this campaign, uniquely challenging to defend against?
Absolutely. Beyond the vast data harvest, it also conducted targeted surveillance on more than 100 U.S. government officials, intercepting call data and possibly even live communications. That's serious. What's truly insightful here is how these individual pieces of intelligence connect to a much larger sort of systemic picture. A joint advisory from U.S. and allied cybersecurity agencies confirmed this as an expanding Chinese espionage effort, essentially, a global surveillance system designed for long-term intelligence gathering. The sheer persistence and long dwell time of Salt Typhoon highlight that detection is now paramount, not just prevention. Organizations must invest heavily in threat hunting and advanced telemetry analysis, operating under the assumption that compromise is not impossible, but, maybe inevitable. This campaign often infiltrated critical industries, telecommunications, defense, transportation, hospitality, by compromising backbone routers and exploiting trusted network connections. That gave them deep, persistent access.
Wow.
It underscores the systemic nature of these attacks and the need for a collective layered defense, because no single entity is truly isolated from this web.
That's a crucial shift in mindset, isn't it? Assuming compromise is inevitable. And speaking of large-scale vulnerabilities and the sheer volume of data compromised, these challenges aren't limited to sophisticated nation-state operations. We've seen two major data breaches recently that really hammer home a very common and frankly frustrating vulnerability closer to home for many businesses: third-party vendors. First, TransUnion disclosed a data breach in late July that exposed personal information of 4.46 million individuals. The breach was traced to a third-party support application, not TransUnion's core credit systems, interestingly. Exposed data included names, social security numbers, and birth dates. And then, Farmers Insurance confirmed over 1 million customers were affected by a data breach involving, you guessed it, a third-party service provider.
Another one.
Yeah. Attackers gained unauthorized access to databases containing names, dates of birth, driver's license details, and portions of social security numbers. It feels like an Achilles heel for so many organizations. Is it feasible for companies to audit and manage the security posture of every single vendor, especially when that number can run into the hundreds or even thousands?
That's a powerful question, and it really gets to the core of the problem. These two incidents absolutely underscore the inherent and, pervasive risks of relying on third-party vendors, especially when they handle such incredibly sensitive information like social security numbers or driver's licenses. The so what here is significant. Stolen personal data from these types of breaches isn't just a nuisance. It can be weaponized for sophisticated fraud and identity theft against you, the individual.
Right, directly impacting people.
Exactly. For organizations, it's a call for a paradigm shift in how they view their supply chain. It's not enough to secure your own house if the contractor you let in leaves the back door open.
Yeah.
Pragmatic strategies go beyond just monitor more closely. They demand rigorous upfront vetting, continuous risk assessment,
Uh-huh.
and enforcing much stricter authentication and access controls for all third-party connections. You need to know not just who your vendors are, but how they handle your data and what their security posture truly looks like.
That's a critical point. Rigorous vetting. So we've looked at these large-scale systemic threats, but let's zoom in a bit. What about the dangers that might appear directly on your personal device or company network, the things you might encounter directly day to day? Researchers recently uncovered a malicious campaign using fake Facebook ads to distribute spyware known as Brokewell. These ads, cleverly disguised as legitimate promotions for things like TradingView software, tricked Android users into downloading infected apps. This sounds like a straightforward phishing attempt, but how deep does this particular threat go once it's installed?
It goes incredibly deep. Once Brokewell is installed, it acts as a remote access Trojan, aggressively stealing banking data, cryptocurrency, and all your login credentials. But that's just the start. You can record your screen in keystrokes, hijack your cameras and microphones, and even intercept SMS messages, including those critical two-factor authentication codes.
Wow, so everything, basically.
Pretty much. This is a full-spectrum compromise of your digital life. The key takeaway here is clear for everyone. Avoid installing apps from ads, double-check app permissions before granting them, and critically, never sideload apps from untrusted sources. That means installing them directly from a website or a link outside of official, vetted app stores like Google Play. Those lack the same security vetting.
Good advice. And it's not just Android users that need to be vigilant, right? WhatsApp recently released a critical update after discovering a zero-day vulnerability, meaning a brand new flaw unknown to them until it was already being actively exploited in targeted attacks. This specific flaw allowed attackers to execute code via crafted device synchronization messages, putting iOS and macOS users at risk. Researchers confirmed the exploit was used in combination with another operating system-level vulnerability to compromise devices. What was particularly alarming was WhatsApp's warning to targeted users that a factory reset might be necessary. Why would a simple app update not be enough?
What's truly striking here is the sheer sophistication required to pull something like this off. A zero-day exploit, actively used in the wild, indicates a well-resourced attacker, and the need for a factory reset. That's a truly stark reminder of how deeply these exploits can embed themselves into a device. It means the compromise isn't just at the application layer, it's potentially at the operating system, or even firmware level.
Deeper down.
Exactly. Making a simple app update insufficient to clean the infection. This highlights a very serious concern, particularly for civil society, as this attack followed an earlier campaign involving graphite spyware against journalists and activists. These are not broad, indiscriminate attacks. They are highly targeted and incredibly invasive, often aimed at, well, suppressing freedom of expression.
That context about targeting civil society is crucial, really puts it in perspective. Moving on, a new ransomware campaign from the Shinobi Group shows how attackers are getting more advanced and exploiting vulnerabilities much earlier in the supply chain. This group exploited stolen SonicWall SSL VPN credentials, often tied to third-party managed service providers, or MSPs. Once inside, they didn't just encrypt. They created new administrative accounts, disabled security tools like endpoint detection, and then deployed ransomware payloads across shared drives. Shinobi also uses advanced cryptographic methods. What does that specifically mean for a victim trying to recover their data?
It means they are truly in a bind. Shinobi uses methods like Curve 25518 and AES 128 CTR. What's critical here is that these are robust, modern encryption algorithms. Once your data is encrypted by Shinobi, recovery without the attacker's specific key is virtually impossible. It makes their threat of data destruction very credible.
So no easy way out.
No. But this isn't just about encryption. It's a multi-pronged attack. Credential theft, disabling security tools, and data exfiltration. They delete shadow copies and steal data to attacker-controlled servers before encrypting. Victims are given only a week to negotiate before that stolen data is leaked.
Only a week? That's intense pressure.
It is. This really underscores the critical importance of monitoring third-party access, as we discussed earlier, and enforcing much stricter authentication controls, especially for highly privileged accounts. An MSP that isn't secure can become an open door for an entire client base.
That's a terrifying escalation of the ransomware threat. Okay, on a slightly brighter note, though maybe with the side of caution, Microsoft is taking a big step to strengthen cloud security, but there was also a recent concern about one of their updates. First, let's look at the proactive move. Starting in October 2025, multi-factor authentication, or MFA, will be mandatory for all Azure resource management operations. This includes command line interfaces, CLI, PowerShell, SDKs, APIs, and infrastructure as code platforms, essentially, all the programmatic ways you might interact with Azure. This is part of Microsoft's broader Secure Future initiative.
A good move.
Definitely. Now, for the concern. Microsoft also recently addressed widespread user worries about SSD and HDD failures following the August 2025 security update KB506378. Initial reports, particularly from users in Japan, suggested issues during heavy write operations.
Right, I remember seeing those reports. What's fascinating here is the dual message, really. On one hand, proactive security measures like mandatory MFA are absolutely crucial for cloud infrastructure, given the rise of identity-based threats. This is a positive and necessary step towards hardening cloud operations. But also, it's incredibly important to critically evaluate initial reports and, not panic.
Yeah.
The SSD failure scare, while concerning initially and widely reported, turned out to be unsubstantiated after rigorous testing by Microsoft and its partners. They failed to reproduce failures, and telemetry showed no spike in errors. Phison, a major controller manufacturer, also confirmed over 4,500 hours of testing with no signs of corruption. This highlights the importance of thorough investigation and data-driven conclusions before drawing conclusions in the fast-paced, often anxiety-inducing world of tech news. Sometimes a flurry of reports doesn't always equal a widespread, confirmed issue.
That's an excellent reminder. Distinguish between initial concerns and verified facts. Essential. We've looked at sophisticated nation-state attacks, supply chain vulnerabilities, individual device compromises, and the constant patching battle. It feels like a relentless, almost unwinnable fight at times, doesn't it? And perhaps there's a fundamental, even mathematical reason why it feels so relentless, a deeper insight that underpins all these individual struggles.
You've hit on a profound truth that informs our entire approach to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
A recent analysis explained this using Rice's theorem, which, in simplified terms, states that no program can fully and definitively determine whether another program exhibits malicious behavior, because that behavior can vary depending on context and inputs. It's tricky. Malware authors cleverly exploit this inherent mathematical limitation using techniques such as polymorphism, where the code changes its form to avoid detection.
Like a chameleon.
Exactly. Code obfuscation to hide its true intent, and environment-specific activation, where it only acts maliciously in certain conditions. All these make perfect 100% detection unattainable, mathematically impossible.
So, if 100% prevention is mathematically impossible, as Rice's theorem suggests, what can we do? Does this mean we should just throw up our hands?
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, the insight here isn't to despair, but to reframe our entire approach. If a 100% prevention is mathematically impossible, the true lesson from Rice's theorem is a paradigm shift. Move from trying to build an impenetrable fortress to designing for resilience.
Resilience, okay.
This means focusing relentlessly on rapid detection, containment, and recovery. Understanding that how quickly you bounce back from a breach is more critical than hoping you're never breached at all. While antivirus and behavioral tools certainly reduce risks, they can never guarantee full prevention. This mathematical reality stresses that continuous vigilance, timely patching, and layered defenses combining multiple security strategies that protect different attack vectors remain the only truly effective strategies. It's about being prepared to deal with the inevitable, not just trying to stop the unstoppable.
What an incredible deep dive today, really covering the vast landscape from nation-state cyber warfare all the way down to the inherent mathematical limitations of cybersecurity. It's clear that the digital world is a constant battlefield, but with knowledge and, as you said, a resilient mindset, we can be better equipped.
Indeed. And given that perfect prevention against malware is mathematically impossible, as we've discussed, the key takeaway for all of us, whether we're securing a global enterprise or just our personal devices, is to shift our mindset. Move from trying to stop every threat to building resilient systems that can detect, respond, and recover effectively. This holistic view, integrating everything from mandatory MFA to careful third-party vendor management and understanding the persistent threat of sophisticated zero days.
Yeah.
That's our best defense in this complex digital world.
We're grateful for your time and hope you found today's insights valuable. Join us again on Monday for more expert updates and critical cybersecurity news. Remember to like, subscribe for ongoing coverage and analysis, and sign up for a free trial of Heal Security Desktop at healsecurity.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep your digital world secure.